Hello. We are continuing our discussion of the Decameron, the eighth story, the fifth day. As I mentioned in the previous video, poor Nastasio, a very immature, naive young man, he is following the codes of conduct outlined in Andreas Capanellis's The Art of Courtly Love. Again, he's using a very absolutist kind of belief system that if he follows this code book, this guidebook, that he will get the Traversi girl to love him. As we know in our modern society, again, these rules set by Andreas Capanellis, they're not realistic. All of us have our preferences and reasons why we're attracted to someone or not. Sometimes they're illogical, sometimes they're concrete and have maybe reasons that we feel that way. I'm a dentist's daughter. When I was growing up and dating, if I went on a date with someone and they had tartar buildup on their teeth, I would literally gag inside. Now, I would never say anything because that would be rude, but it literally made me want to vomit. And you can imagine, although that person might have been really nice and I treated them very well and respectfully, that individual is not going to get a good night kiss from me and likely not a second date, because how do you nicely say you need to brush your teeth and floss and go to the dentist for some tartar control? That's not going to happen. So as far as Nastasio, he is still immature in his belief systems of how to get the Traversi girl to fall in love with him. But this doesn't last long. Now you're going to notice Boccaccio in this particular tale, he decides to turn that art of courtly love and the concept of courtly love upside down. He decides to warp it. He has Nastasio be witness to this very ghostly setting. He's in the woods trying to escape this young woman. His friends and his relatives say, hey, get out of the city, get away from her. He just leaves a few miles out. He puts up a tent. He's camping out, what we would consider camping out, and definitely called glamping in this time period. And he is taking a walk through the woods. He witnesses a knight chasing after a nude young woman. He has these dogs that are after her, okay? Ultimately, he catches the girl. Nastasio grabs a stick, to stop him. But the knight says, listen, you do not know the whole story here. And we find out these are two ghosts. And ultimately, this knight was treated very cruelly by this young woman. Because of that cruelty and that rejection from her, he kills himself. He commits suicide. Later, the young woman was cruel and boastful in his death, and she later died. And now they have to repeat their punishments constantly. And you're going to sense this does have echoes of Dante's Inferno, especially the hellhounds, that kind of image there. It does parallel, of course, Cerberus. Now, we have this image of this constant punishment. Now, you can imagine when our protagonist Nastasio sees the scene, his mind starts going, those gears start rattling, and he thinks, I could use this ghostly scene to my advantage. So what he decides to do is this. He invites the young Traversi girl, along with her family and friends, to essentially a dinner, a buffet in the woods. He knows that this is a scene that's going to happen again. Ultimately, what we have is the young woman is there. She sees the scene and she's scared out of her mind because in her perception, she could meet the fate of that young woman if she continues to reject Nastasio. Now, you're going to notice I stayed on this slide right here about the, codes of conduct. The last one is that which a lover takes against the will of his beloved has no relish. Now, you're going to notice here, in some ways, Nastasio goes against the act of courtly love. He decides to scare the young Traversi girl into falling in love with him. He manipulates her to be afraid of a fate in the afterlife similar to the young woman being chased by the knight, and he manipulates her. Now, you're going to notice the last lines of the actual work. Boccaccio describes the young woman's reaction. It says, and this is on page 280, It says, of those who were the most affrighted was the cruel damsel beloved of Nastasio, who had distinctly seen and heard the whole matter, and understood that these concerned her more than any other who was there, remembering her of the cruelty that she had still used toward Nastasio. Wherefore her seemed she fled already before her enraged lover and had the mastiffs at her heels. So she basically projected herself in the position of the young woman being chased by the hounds. Now, a little bit later, it says of her, it continues. It says, the damsel knew that it rested with none other than herself that she had not been the wife, meaning of Nastasio. Okay. She told her father and mother that she was content to be Nastasio's wife. Whereat they were mighty rejoiced, meaning the parents were happy about these news. And he, espousing her in ensuing Sunday and celebrating the nuptials, lived with her long and happily. So we have this image of them living happily ever after. Okay. Nor was this a fright, meaning this ghastly, ghostly scene. It says the cause of that good only, meaning not only the good came of this was the marriage, but guess what else good came from it? It says, all the ladies of Ravenna became so fearful by reason thereof that ever after they were much more amenable than they had ever been to the desires of men. So you'll notice the happy ending there, that all women became more open and receptive to the men around them, not putting them off out of fear of maybe being just like the woman who was in this ghostly scene, being chased after the night with these hellhounds. Now, again, is this really a happy ending? Is this a story of love? Again, this has themes of love. Nastasio does have an obsessive love for the Traversi girl, okay? By fortune, he is able to see this ghastly, ghostly scene, and he decides to use it to his advantage to manipulate the Traversi girl to be scared into a relationship with him. He does use his intelligence. Again, he puts aside kind of that obsessive love to an extent, which is the art of courtly love, and he kind of takes it to another darker level. He manipulates the young woman to fall in love with him. And you'll notice this is considered a happy ending, but again, you have to ask yourself, is this a happy ending? Is this a cautionary tale of sorts? But the major thing you need to get from this is, again, we have those themes of love, fortune, and intelligence, but also we have definitely more of a, view of relativism than absolutism. Initially, we have Nastasio following an absolutist view that by following the codes of conduct of courtly love, he's going to get the girl. But notice he follows that, but she's not interested. So he veers off that course into his own course of action, which is not a healthy one. He manipulates and scares the young woman, but it does get him the girl in the end. So again, what is Boccaccio's viewpoint of courtly love? Do you think he's mocking it? Is he making fun of it through this little moment of narration? And ironically, this is a story told from Philomena, who is supposed to be a female storyteller. So that makes this even more complex. So hopefully you enjoyed the 8th story, The Fifth Day, and it will inspire you to read some of the other works as well. Thank you.